Here is something that most financial advisors will never say to your face, and it is the one truth that separates people who retire with freedom from people who retire with regret. You do not lose your retirement in your 60s when you finally open that account statement and realize the number is too small. You do not lose it in your 50s when you start doing the math and feel that slow panic settling in your chest. You lose your retirement in your 40s, quietly, gradually, one postponed decision at a time, while you are busy telling yourself that you still have time. Right now, somewhere in this country, two people are sitting at their kitchen tables. Both of them are 44 years old. Both of them earn $85,000 a year. Both of them have a mortgage, two kids in school, and a retirement account they have not looked at in 6 months. From the outside, their lives look almost identical. But in 21 years, when they are both 65 and ready to stop working, one of them will have $1.4 million sitting in an account, and the other will have $310,000. Same income, same age, completely different futures. And the difference between those two numbers has nothing to do with luck, inheritance, or some investment secret only rich people know. It has everything to do with what each of them decided to do or not do during their 40s. Here is the prediction most people get completely wrong. Your 40s feel like the middle of the story, but they are actually the final chapter where everything gets decided. You probably believe your 30s were the critical decade, the decade to hustle, build, and establish yourself. You probably believe your 50s will be the decade to get serious about retirement. That belief is one of the most expensive financial mistakes a person can make, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your 40s are the decade that locks in your financial future, and what you can still do about it right now. What most people never realize is that compounding interest is not just a tool that works for you, it is a trap that works against you the moment you stop feeding it. This concept is called the compounding trap, and understanding it will permanently change the way you see every financial decision you make from this point forward. Here's how it works at the most fundamental level. When you invest money, that money earns returns. Then those returns earn their own rewards. Then those returns earn returns on top of returns. Most people know this. What most people do not know is that this process is not linear. It's exponential, meaning the growth accelerates dramatically in the later years. A dollar you invest at 42 is not the same as a dollar you invest at 52. That same dollar invested at 42 with a 7% annual return becomes approximately $7.61 by the time you were 65. That same dollar invested at 52 becomes only $3.87. You do not just lose 10 years of growth, you lose the growth on the growth on the growth. You lose the compounding that was supposed to do the heaviest lifting for you. Here is where it gets interesting for you. The math does not punish delay in small, manageable increments. It punishes delay in massive, disproportionate leaps. Every year you wait to maximize your contributions in your 40s does not cost you 1 year of retirement savings. It costs you the most powerful years of exponential growth your money will ever experience. The $500 a month you are not investing at 43 does not just disappear as $500, it disappears as $24,000 of future retirement income. That's the trap. The cost of waiting is invisible today and catastrophic later. According to a 2023 Fidelity Investments analysis, the median retirement savings for Americans between the ages of 40 and 49 is $77,400, against a recommended target of 10 times your final salary by retirement. For someone earning $85,000 a year, that target is $850,000. The median 40-something is not halfway there. They're not even a quarter of the way there. And the decade they are in right now is the last decade where compounding can still do most of the work for them. This connects to your daily life in a way that is both uncomfortable and urgent. Every time you choose to delay a contribution, upgrade a lifestyle, or tell yourself you'll get serious next year, you are not making a small, reversible financial choice. You are pulling a lever that shortens your future compounding runway. And once your 40s are gone, that runway doesn't come back. Rule 1. Stop treating your 40s like a rehearsal. The psychological mechanism working against you right now is called temporal discounting. Your brain naturally assigns less value to future rewards than to present ones, and it assigns dramatically less urgency to problems that feel distant. When you are 43, retirement at 65 feels like something that exists in a completely different version of your life. Your brain doesn't register it as immediate, so it doesn't motivate immediate action. Here is the concrete reality. If you are 43 and you have $50,000 saved and you begin contributing $1,000 per month starting today at a 7% average annual return, you will have approximately $890,000 by age 65. If you wait just 3 more years and start at 46, that same $1,000 gets you to $670,000. You lost $220,000 not by spending money, but by doing nothing and calling it patience. That's not patience, that's the most expensive form of procrastination available to you. If you continue treating your 40s as a warm-up decade, as a period to get organized before getting serious, you will arrive in your 50s with a math problem that no amount of hustle can fully solve. This brings us to the second rule, which is about what you are probably spending money on without fully realizing it. Rule 2. Audit your lifestyle inflation before it audits you.
Your income in your 40s is almost certainly higher than it was in your 30s, and your spending has almost certainly risen to meet it or exceed it. This is lifestyle inflation, and it is not a moral failure. It is a predictable psychological response to increased earning. The problem is not that you are spending more. The problem is that you are spending more without tracking whether that spending is buying you proportionally more life satisfaction. Look at your last 90 days of bank statements. The average American household in their 40s spends approximately $1,200 per month on what researchers classify as comfort spending. Subscriptions, upgraded versions of things that already worked, restaurant meals that replaced cooking not for celebration but for convenience. That is $14,400 a year. Redirected into a retirement account, that same $14,400 per year over 20 years at 7% returns becomes $591,000. You are not spending $1,200 a month on comfort. You are trading $591,000 of future security for present-day friction avoidance. If you never audit your lifestyle inflation in your 40s, your expenses will silently consume the exact years of income growth that were supposed to accelerate your wealth. The audit is not about deprivation. It is about making your spending a conscious decision rather than an automatic one. Rule 3. Max out your tax-advantaged accounts before anything else. Most people in their 40s treat their 401k contribution as a background setting they set once and never revisit. They contribute enough to get the employer match, feel responsible, and move on. That is not a retirement strategy. That is leaving money on the table inside a system specifically designed to give you tax-sheltered compounding growth. In 2024, the IRS allows you to contribute up to $23,000 per year to a 401k if you are under 50 and $30,500 if you are 50 or older. That is the catch-up contribution provision, and it exists specifically because Congress recognized that people in their 40s and 50s are behind. If you and your spouse both maximize your contributions from age 43 to 65, you are looking at $46,000 per year invested in tax-advantaged accounts. Over 22 years at 7%, that compounds to approximately $2.4 million, and you paid taxes on none of the growth along the way. If you are not maximizing your tax-advantaged accounts in your 40s, you are paying a voluntary tax on your own retirement savings. You are giving the government a cut of your compounding that you were never legally required to give. Rule 4. Treat debt in your 40s as a retirement emergency. Carrying high-interest debt into your 40s, and more critically, accumulating new debt in your 40s, is not a cash flow management problem. It is a direct retirement sabotage. Every dollar you pay in interest on a credit card balance at 22% APR is a dollar that is not compounding at 7% for the next 20 years. That is not a wash. That is a 29 percentage point swing working against your future self every single month. The average American in their 40s carries $8,600 in credit card debt. At 22% APR, that debt costs approximately $1,892 per year in interest alone. Eliminate that debt and redirect those $1,892 per year into investments, and over 20 years, you gain approximately $77,000 in retirement savings, plus the $37,840 you would have paid in pure interest. You are not just solving a debt problem, you are unlocking $114,000 in retirement capital that was silently destroyed. If you allow debt to persist through your 40s without a deliberate elimination plan, you are effectively paying a monthly fee to make yourself poorer in retirement. That fee compounds in the wrong direction just as reliably as investments compound in the right one. Rule 5. Build your income ceiling higher before your 50s lower it. Your 40s represent peak earning potential for most professionals, the intersection of experience, network, and energy that is genuinely difficult to replicate in your 50s. Most people in their 40s are managing this peak earning power defensively, protecting what they have rather than aggressively expanding it. That is a strategic error with a permanent cost. A single income increase of $15,000 per year through a promotion, a negotiation, a side income stream, or a career pivot invested entirely from age 43 to 65 produces approximately $790,000 in additional retirement wealth at 7% annual growth. You do not need to work harder for the rest of your life. You need one significant income expansion in your 40s and the discipline to route that expansion directly into your future. If you coast on your current income through your 40s without actively pursuing expansion, you are not just leaving career opportunity unrealized, you are permanently capping the retirement wealth that those peak earning years could have produced. But here's what makes this rule different for you. The next rule is about what happens after you build the income, which is making sure the right systems exist to capture it automatically. Rule 6. Automate everything so your discipline is never the bottleneck. Willpower is not a reliable financial strategy. Research from the American Psychological Association consistently shows that decision fatigue erodes financial discipline. The more choices you face in a day, the worse your financial decisions become by evening. Your retirement cannot depend on you making the right choice every single time, because you won't. No one does. The solution is to build a financial system in your 40s that does not require your daily participation. Every paycheck, a predetermined percentage, ideally 20% or more of your gross income, moves automatically into investments before you ever see it in your checking account. Your emergency fund replenishes automatically, your retirement contributions process automatically. You make one good decision, and that decision executes perfectly for the next 20 years without your brain interfering. If your financial plan still depends on you actively choosing to save each month, you are one bad week, one stressful quarter, or one unexpected expense away from derailing years of progress. Automation doesn't just save you time, it protects your retirement from your worst self on your worst days. Rule 7. Invest in your health as a direct retirement financial strategy. This is the rule that almost no finance video will tell you, and it may be the most financially significant one on this list. The average American spends $315,000 on healthcare costs in retirement, according to Fidelity's 2023 retiree healthcare cost estimate. That number assumes average health.
For someone who enters retirement with preventable chronic conditions, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, obesity-related illness, that number climbs to $450,000 or higher. Every dollar you invest in your physical health in your 40s, gym membership, quality food, preventive care, sleep, is not a lifestyle expense. It is a retirement cost reduction strategy. A person who enters retirement at 65 in strong physical health does not just live longer and more comfortably, they spend $135,000 less on medical care over the course of their retirement. That is $135,000 that stays in your investment account instead of going to insurance companies and hospitals. If you treat your health in your 40s as an optional lifestyle upgrade rather than a core financial priority, you will pay for that decision with retirement dollars at the exact moment when you have the least ability to earn them back. Rule 8. Define your retirement number and work backward from it today. Most people in their 40s have never calculated the specific number they need to retire. They have a vague sense that more is better and a general anxiety that they are behind, but they have never sat down and written, "I need X dollars by age 65 to live the life I want." Without that number, every financial decision you make is untethered. You are driving without a destination, which means every detour feels acceptable.
Here is how you calculate it. Take your desired annual retirement income, say $70,000 per year. Divide it by 0.04, which is the widely accepted safe withdrawal rate from the Trinity study. That gives you $1,750,000 as your retirement target. Now open a compound interest calculator, enter your current savings, your projected monthly contribution, and a 7% return, and find the gap between where you are headed and where you need to be. That gap is not a source of shame. It is a project with a deadline, and your 40s are the most powerful decade you have left to close it. If you never define your retirement number, you will never know whether the financial decisions you are making today are adequate, and you will arrive at 65 having made thousands of financial choices with no standard against which to measure any of them. Rule 9. Stop over-investing in your children's future at the expense of your own. This rule is the one that creates the most resistance, and it is also the one that parents in their 40s most urgently need to hear. Your children can take out loans for college. They can work through school. They can receive scholarships, grants, and financial aid. There is an entire financial ecosystem designed to help young people fund their education. There is no loan available for your retirement. There is no scholarship for the life you want to live at 70. The average American parent in their 40s contributes $500 per month toward their children's college savings. That is $6,000 per year. Redirected into your own retirement account from age 43 to 65, that $500 per month becomes approximately $295,000 at 7% annual returns. Choosing your child's college fund over your own retirement does not just affect you, it guarantees that your child will eventually become your financial safety net, which is the outcome you were trying to avoid by saving for them in the first place. Fund your retirement first. Fund your children's education second. That is not selfishness, that is the only sequencing that actually protects your entire family. Rule 10. Build one asset that earns while you sleep before you are 50. A job is not an asset. A paycheck is not wealth. A job is a transaction. You exchange time for money, and the moment you stop exchanging time, the money stops. Every dollar of your retirement security that depends entirely on your continued employment is one medical crisis, one layoff, or one industry disruption away from disappearing. Your 40s are the last decade where you have enough energy, income surplus, and time horizon to build something that earns independently of your presence. This does not require becoming an entrepreneur. It requires one decision and consistent action. A rental property generating $800 per month in net income produces $192,000 over 20 years before appreciation. A dividend portfolio of $100,000 at a 4% yield generates $4,000 per year in passive income every year without you doing anything. A digital product, a licensing agreement, a silent business partnership, Any single income stream that does not require your active time is a compounding asset that strengthens your retirement position every year it exists. If you enter your 50s with zero passive income, with 100% of your financial security tied to your ability to keep working, you are one event away from a retirement crisis. Your 40s are the window. This brings us to what you can actually do starting now. This week, you open every financial account you own and write down the exact balances in one place, because you cannot close a gap you have never measured. Most people in their 40s have a fragmented financial picture: an old 401k from a previous employer they forgot to roll over, a savings account they stopped contributing to, a credit card balance they know is there but avoid looking at directly. Clarity is the first act of financial courage, and you need to complete it before any other action means anything. This month, you increase your retirement contribution by at least 3% of your gross income, and you set it to increase automatically by 1% every January for the next 5 years. You will not feel this 3% increase. Studies consistently show that contribution increases below 5% are largely imperceptible in day-to-day cash flow. But over 20 years, that 3% increase from an $85,000 salary is the difference between retiring with dignity and retiring with anxiety. You do this month, not next month, because the compounding clock does not pause for convenient timing. This quarter, you build or rebuild your financial automation system so that your savings, investments, and debt payments execute without your monthly involvement. You set up automatic transfers the day after every paycheck deposits. You create a system where your default behavior, doing nothing, produces exactly the retirement outcome you want, rather than the one you were afraid of. This year, you define your exact retirement number using the 4% withdrawal rule. You calculate the monthly contribution to reach it by 65, and you either close the gap through increased income or reduced expenses, or both. And you also identify one passive income stream you can begin building this year, even at small scale, because 1 year of building is worth 5 years of planning. Remember those two 44-year-olds sitting at their kitchen tables at the beginning of this video? The ones with the same income, the same mortgage, the same life on the surface, but $1.1 million apart in retirement outcomes? Now you understand what actually separated them. It was not intelligence, it was not income, it was not even discipline in the way most people define it. It was whether they understood the compounding trap and whether they respected the irreversibility of time in their 40s while they still had time to do something about it. Here's the reality of the two paths in front of you right now. If you apply what you learned today, if you audit your spending, automate your savings, maximize your tax-advantaged contributions, and build even one asset that earns independently, you enter a virtuous cycle. Your investments grow, your options expand, your financial anxiety decreases, and the reduced anxiety makes the next right decision easier and easier. Every good decision in your 40s makes the next good decision feel natural. Every year of compounding growth makes you more confident, more capable, and more free. But if you close this video and return to the same patterns, the same "I'll get serious next year," the same lifestyle inflation, the same vague awareness that something needs to change, you enter a destructive cycle. Your savings stay flat, your debt stays present, your compounding runway shortens, and the math in your 50s becomes increasingly brutal. By the time the urgency finally feels undeniable, the decade that could have done the most work for you is already gone. A 2023 study from the National Institute on Retirement Security found that 40% of Americans aged 55 to 64 have zero retirement savings, not inadequate savings, but zero. And virtually every single one of them had a decade in their 40s where the trajectory could have changed, where the math still worked in their favor, where compounding still had enough runway to build something real. Your 40s are not the middle of the story. They are the decision point, the moment where the trajectory of your retirement gets permanently set in one direction or the other. 20 years from now, you will either be the person who understood that and acted, or the person who understood it and waited. The question is not whether you know what to do. After everything you just learned, you absolutely do. The only question left is whether you will decide that your future self is worth the decisions your present self needs to make today.